Adaptability is key, but true resilience comes from embedding sustainability at the heart of every business decision in the world of constant change. A very good morning and a warm welcome to the esteemed dignitaries and participants for joining us at the International Conference on Sustainable Practices in Rapidly Changing Business Scenarios here at NSB Academy.
NSB Academy is a leading business school known for its forward-thinking approach and practical research. We focus on sustainability in our studies, aiming to help business develop eco-friendly and effective practices. Our research supports future leaders in understanding and adapting to rapid changes while promoting positive environmental and social impact. This conference is a key part of our commitment to exploring how businesses can succeed and stay sustainable in a changing world. We look forward to discussing innovative approaches and learning from our esteemed speakers and participants as we work together towards a more sustainable future.
As we begin the program, let us all rise for our NSB anthem.
जय 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 हे एनएसबी नामक विद्यालय जय 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 हे एनएसबी नामक विद्यालय करुणा कौशलशील संप्रदाय रत्नालय जय 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 हे एनएसबी नामक विद्यालय परिणति पूर्ण परिणाम सहकारिताः शौचं वैविध्यम् अन्तर्भावित सम्मानता दायित्वं सत्त्वं तव स्थापित मूलमूल्यानि तवाचार्याः ऋषितुल्याः स्तवोनिष्ठाः जय 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 हे एनएसबी नामक विद्यालय सततं प्रेरितोऽसि त्वं मात्रा शारदय निरन्तरं पोषितोऽसि त्वं गजमुखविनायकेन नियतं रक्षितोऽसि त्वं ज्ञानेन सर्वां छात्रानलभ्यं ददासि जय 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 हे जय 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 हे विद्यालय करुणा कौशलशील संप्रदाय रत्नालय जय 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 हे एनएसबी नामक विद्यालय
If you remain standing, I request our dignitaries to do the honors of lighting the lamp.
कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
Thank you all. I request Dr. A.V. Rao, Dean Administration and the convener of the conference, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning. Good morning and a warm welcome to all the distinguished guests on the dais, off the dais, and participants of the conference. I'm honored to introduce our guests on and off the dais and the plenary session chairs to this audience. Before I start this welcome address, I feel this clarion message would augur well for this conference to start. I like to think that a moment you are going to heaven after your life. One thing is going to happen, your soul is going to rise. When you are going to hear a voice, the voice is going to say that, how did you like heaven? You are going to turn around and say, no, I have just died. I'm going to get into the heaven, and the voice will say that, I have created a beautiful world for you with oceans, mountains, trees, forests, and all the fruits and vegetables of all different flavors, all different animals, flora, fauna, and you wanted another heaven? What happened to the heaven I gave you? You did not know how to be happy in. You don't deserve to be in a second heaven. Everybody is looking for a heaven tomorrow. The masters are saying that there is a heaven here now. With this simply amplifies how important the current world you are living in. To sustain, survive, and remain in this ever-evolving competitive world, the only way forward is to create a sustainable business environment in which you are living in and going to live. The endeavor of this conference of NSB is to bring together the thought leaders of the society and industry leaders to address the most pressing challenges our industries and society are encountering. Creating a sustainable living is everyone's responsibility. This is a small initiative of NSB to converge these ideas through this conference. With these few words, I am privileged to introduce a slew of speakers who are going to enlighten you about these sustainable practices. The two-day conference is started with a keynote speaker, Sri Abhishek Ranjan, Senior Director and a Global Head of ESG for Brilio. Let me have the privilege of introducing Sri Abhishek Ranjan. He is responsible for leading Brilio's environment, social, and governance goals and programs associated with the thought leadership and communications on a global scale. He played a pivotal role in building the sustainability practices at Brilio and is known for his work on the award-winning CSR program called Brilio Bringing Smiles, which aims to help 1 million underserved children. Additionally, Abhishek also leads the Carbon Net Zero and Neutral Program, Diversity and Inclusion Initiatives, and the Employees program called We Care program in the Brilio's global locations, including India, UK, Mexico, US, Canada, and Romania. Abhishek is an alumnus of IMT Ghaziabad, where he has also served as the college secretary and co-founded its social club called MADF. He is certified ESG professional by IICA. He began his career with IBM and later on worked for Oracle FSSL, where he was recognized for establishing the customer care centers for the industrial relations function in India. In addition to his professional role, Abhishek is actively involved in academia. He teaches sustainability and CSR at Goa Institute of Management and India's oldest university, Nalanda University. He is an ESG trainer at IOD, Institute of Directors, on a global scale. Abhishek holds prominent positions in various organizations, councils related to sustainability. He is the head of ASSOCHAM, South India Sustainability Council, and served as president of Rotary Club. He is a consulting editor of oil sector magazine, HR Vista by Indian Oil. Recognized as an international speaker, Abhishek has been invited to speak at various forums such as UNESCO, G20, LinkedIn, and more than 100 colleges worldwide. His work and contributions on sustainability, thought leadership have earned him awards from organizations like Microsoft, ASOCHAM, FKCCI, American Business Award, and NHRD. He has also been recognized as one of the top 40 under 40 ESG leaders. Abhishek is also recognized as top philanthropy voice on LinkedIn for exceptional contributions and thought leadership in a philanthropic sector. May I now request our director, Dr. Srinidhi Bhattacharjee, to welcome Sri Abhishek Ranjan with a sapling and a token of our appreciation, sir. Now, I'm delighted to present a brief overview of our Honorable President, Dr. S.R. Sridharamurthy, to this august audience. Dr. Sridharamurthy is the founder president of NSB and has over 25 years of entrepreneurial, administrative, consulting, teaching, and research experience. He is also a member of the Board of Studies at Bangalore University Management Studies Department. He rose from a humble background, hails from the neighboring village called Singanagrahara, in which our college situated. His professional journey started immediately after completing his veterinary sciences degree, and he worked for a brief period with Karnataka government in the animal husbandry department. And he worked in his academic journey of being a ranker at secondary, higher secondary education, and a good score of GMT has made him to earn a seat in MBA at University of North Carolina, USA, and a PhD from VIT University. He is an avid learner, which made him an alumnus of IIM Indore and IIM Ahmedabad. He has unique perspective in shaping the future of education, fostering innovation, and inspiring students to reach their full potential. His thought-provoking ideas and leadership principles are the founding principle to resonate a sustained educational system. His passion for greenery may be witnessed in the campus you are in. Under his stewardship, NSB achieved many awards. To name a few, in 2016, NSB appeared in Forbes' Great Indian B Schools. In 2018, the Pioneer magazine rated NSB as A++ Management College. Recently, NSB is adjudged by Higher Education Review as top 10 logistics teaching institutions. In 2020, Silicon India B School Survey ranked top 7 B schools in South India and ranked top 9 B schools in all India for academic excellence, and ranked top 10 B school in all India for industry interface. These are the accomplishments. And in 2021, Higher Education Review rated NSB in top 10 institutes of business analytics program. In 2023, the Academic Insights magazine, the Academic Insights ranked NSB as the 19th best in the India's top 50 non-IIM B school survey 2023. Shiksha.com rated NSB 4.4 out of 5. Google review rated NSB 4.5 out of 5. Facebook rated NSB 4.0 out of 5. This list is unending and will continue under his able guidance. May I now request our director to welcome our president, sir, by presenting a sapling, sir. We have lined up 4 plenary sessions are chaired by eminent and erudite scholars and industry practitioners. The first plenary session is chaired by Sri Chilla Pandian Pichai, Associate Vice President and Global Head, Sustainability of Biocon Biologics. He is doing his doctoral degree from Switzerland on sustainable issues, and he is one of the leaders representing Biocon on many forums and addressed many foreign delegations during his tenure. He represented Biocon on many important occasions in India and abroad on sustainable related conferences and workshops. He will be joining us at 11:30 for the first plenary session. The second plenary session is chaired by Sri Harsha Malligere, General Manager of ESG and Sustainability of Page Industries. As you are aware, they are the makers of the prestigious garment brands of international repute, namely Jockey, Speedo, and recently they introduced athleisure. He is spearheading sustainable matters in 14 units of Page and other franchisees manufacturing units. The management team is strongly behind him in benchmarking their practices on a global scale. In his career, Mr. Harsha has worked with many leading organizations in India such as ABB, Otis, US MIM Tech, Snyder, before joining Page Industries. The third plenary session is chaired by a charismatic, dynamic logistics wizard on a global scale, and in a short period of time taking the organization to the greater heights in the area of global freight forwarding and spearheading and spreading branches in important destinations across the world. He is none other than Sri Biju Shivkumar, Chief Executive Officer of Navio Shipping. I want him to please raise. He is also the co-convener of Box Operators Forum and member of AMTOI, Association of Motor Transporters of India, and involved in nurturing at skill development institutions, at leading management institutes. He is also running an NGO for social causes. He is a champion of the sports, and championing for the sports at the state and national levels makes him an outstanding professional at a very young age. Now, the fourth session, plenary session, is chaired by one of the outstanding personalities, Dr. Vishwanathan P., a qualified chartered accountant and a company secretary, and worked for the greatest organization of international repute as CFO of Unilever, Shell, KPMG, Nike, Tata Motors, and PwC. His passion for uplifting the tribal population through his NGOs, Indian philosophical systems, has made him to win many awards. He received his doctoral degree on financial accounting, auditing practices drawn from the ancient Indian knowledge systems a few days back. We have another eminent personality representing KPMG joined us as knowledge partner to this conference. He is Sri Padmanabhan Girinathan Nair. Please. He is the director of KPMG, leading the ESG group, and he specializes in environmental regulations related to pollution, industrial pollution control, environmental site assessments, environmental due diligences, contaminated site management, which also includes site investigation, risk assessment, and remediation. He has traveled extensively and worked in many Asian, Africa, and USA. In his tenure, he worked with manufacturing, automotive, petroleum refinery, petrochemical plants, mining, metals, cement, chemicals, and fertilizers, pharmaceuticals, FMCG, food and beverages. There is no field he has left untouched. The papers received for this conference are and due for presentation are adjudged by an eminent jury led by him. Let him have the honor of introducing to you. I request our Sri Director, sir, to please honor him. More importantly, we have distinguished guests, academicians coming from various institutions of repute, research scholars, enthusiastic students coming from all the way from Hyderabad to present their papers. This makes the conference special, and distinguished speakers and participants have added color to our conference. With this, I thank our management for giving me this opportunity to introduce all the guests to this conference. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Srinidhi K. Parthasadri, the Director of NSB Academy, to present the theme of the conference.
Devan bhavayatanena ye deva bhavayantu vaha parasparam bhavayantaha shreyaha param avapsyatam. What a fantastic morning it is, where we have gathered together to discuss prosperity on its whole. The Honorable Chief Guest of the day, Shri Abhishek Ranjan ji, our most respected President, Dr. Sridhar Murthy, the guests of honor, Shri Padmanabhan Nair ji, Shri Biju Shivkumar ji, the respected faculty members, jury members, students, delegates, and my dearest colleagues who have been responsible for where we are today. The third chapter, 11th verse of the Bhagavad Gita talks about sustainability. What we contribute, parasparam bhavayantaha shreyaha paramavapsyatam. While introducing Dr. A.V. Rao, said about Shri Abhishek Ranjan that below he was the champion of bringing out smiles in many people. That is precisely the topic of this particular verse which was quoted in the beginning. The what of sustainability, the how of sustainability, the where of sustainability is going to be discussed across this two-day session. The keynote speaker would start by lighting a lamp to the wisdom quotient of this particular conference. I will just speak a few words about why of this particular session. NSB Bangalore has been practicing sustainability in every activity. The 2.5-acre campus house 1,074 trees. When we are talking about environment, 1,074 trees, and it keeps growing with our tree planting initiative which is there at NSB Bangalore when we talk of environment in this particular campus. The Green Audit Report, which was recently done by an ISO 17020 certified organization, says that environmentally NSB Bangalore is sustainable. When we talk of social, with the acumen and the academician what our Dr. Sridhar Murthy is, we have the philosophy of feeding whoever comes to NSB Bangalore, and that is not charged. The institution has invested 3 crore rupees over the last 4 years in terms of social feeding, and very importantly, it takes care of 100 families in and around Singinagrahara. Not even that, we have been responsible in renovating the government schools around Singinagrahara in terms of social. In terms of governance, ESG is what we are talking about today. In terms of governance, first of all, we need to govern ourselves before governing anybody else. Swami Vivekananda said, be and make. That was his clarion call. First you be, realize your potential, and then make people happy, because delight is infinite within each one of us. Very importantly, we need to understand as to why we have to practice this ECG components, or ESG components, sorry. When we are talking about it, what has been the purpose of our birth? Why are we born? Are we doing what we are doing today by choice or by chance? These are the questions. Is it we have come here by chance or by choice? The answer is we have come here by choice and not by chance. The Bhagavad Gita says, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajant ante kalebaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever the soul has craved for in its previous birth, if it has not fulfilled and that craving is there, before the soul departs from the body, he will come back to become that. He will come back to become that. When we are talking about supply chain management, we are talking about delivery and delight. The nature gives us what we wanted to become. So, what happens after that? What happens to the soul after death is a beautiful book written by Swami Shivananda. What happens after that, after death, or after that craving, at the time the soul leaves the body? What happens? The Taittiriya Upanishad says, Akashat Vayuhu, Vayor Agnihi, Agner Apaha, Adbyaf Prithivi, Prithivya Voshadayaha, Voshadibhyonnam, Annat Purushaha. The environment, the five forces of the environment, the Panchabhuta, what we say, all that support the descent of a man. Please understand one thing. Every creation on this earth is controlled. Only a man or a human being can control. That is the difference. So, when we are coming down during descent, the sky, the wind, the water, the fire, and the Mother Earth, they support us in our descent. That is why we need to be environmentally responsible, because they are responsible for our birth. This is what the Upanishad says. So, when we come down this trajectory, each soul comes in the form of a paddy grain. We have seen this. That is why in the old Hindi film, I think the students here would have only heard but not seen. We have seen one actor called Danny Dengzongpa. Danny Dengzongpa, in one of his movies, he holds a revolver and says, दाने दाने में लिखा हुआ है खाने वाले का नाम. दाने दाने में लिखा हुआ है खाने वाले का नाम. That is Danny Dengzongpa's dialogue. See, that is the crux of our ancient Indian wisdom or Indian knowledge system. See, what happens in the form of a paddy grain or a rice particle, the soul descends. And it is in the fertile field, the farmer contributes to the rise of that paddy crop. When the paddy crop rises or grows, many paddy particles fall down. But our Creator, God, Spirit, whatever you call it, handhold saying that this guy wanted one more opportunity to fulfill his desire. So that paddy particle does not fall down there, it grows. Then there is a harvest. During harvest, lot of particles fall down, but this is handheld. Then what happens? It is filled into sacks and sent for removing the rice covering. There also in the rice mill, there are a lot of rice particles which are fallen down. It is handheld. I'm talking about the origin of supply chain. Origin of supply chain. It never started in Motorola or something. The creation, it started with the creation. And then it is shipped to a shop where this particular person, if he wanted to become a musician, if this person wanted to be a musician, if he wanted to be a doctor, if the soul wanted to be an engineer, at the time of death, the rice bag which is containing this particle is shipped to a locality where this has to grow up as an engineer or a doctor. And then from that bag, the family in which this soul has to grow, where the ecosystem is there, there the rice is given by the shopkeeper. When we are washing the rice before cooking, there are a lot of rice particles which fall down into the sink. This one particle which has to be born is handheld again and goes into the cooker. When it is cooked, there are 5 people eating in the house. Only the father eats that particular rice particle. The father eats because a human being has got 12 months in the womb, not 10. 2 months in the father's womb, 10 months in the mother's womb. So the father eats this rice particle. So it is requirement by the soul in the previous birth and delivery through logistics. Delivery to the right place where he wanted. The father eats it, stores it in his womb and transfers it to the mother's womb. Transfers it to the mother's womb. That is Annat Purushaha, from the rice particle. That is why in the Indian culture we say Annam Nanindyat Tadvratam. We never curse food. We never waste food. We never abuse food, because every particle there is divine and a divine soul. So at that particular point in time, while we take birth, the environment protects, the farmer protects socially, and then when we are talking about governance, we need to be continuously upgrading ourselves in terms of immersing ourselves in knowledge. NSB practices that. It not only practices immersion of knowledge in the learning spaces, which is the classroom, but there is ample opportunities for all faculty members to immerse themselves not only nationally, but internationally. Faculty members on seniority are sent for international immersions. And then every faculty member, every stakeholder at NSB is practicing sustainability as a way of life. The question what Mr. Biju Shivakumar asked just before we left the President's office this morning. So with this philosophy, the theme of this particular conference originated, the seed was set by our Honorable President, Dr. Sridhar Murthy, when he spoke to me when he was IIM Ahmedabad. He called me and said, we need to have good plans to have a great conference. When he was in IIM Ahmedabad, he called me, he said, we should have a great conference. Then the think tank, Professor Shivkumar, Professor Keshava, Professor Kumar, and all of them sat together, Sridhar Deshmukh, and we have Dinesh Mahajan. All of them sat together along with Dr. A.V. Rao. They all sat together and came out with a topic, International Conference on Sustainable Practices. It's not sustainability, which is a word. Practice. It should be a practice. It should be an everyday immersion on sustainability, sustainable practices in a rapidly changing the UKA world, the Bani world. I think a lot of these things will come during the conference. What is the UKA world? What is the Bani world? So during these environments, where Clayton Christensen, in his Harvard Business Review, wrote one beautiful word which has become the talk of the town called disruptive innovation. What is disruption? What is disruptive innovation in the rapidly changing business scenarios? So this was born, and we are all here today to enjoy that milk of knowledge which is going to be originating from this particular conference. Have a great time. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. We'll now release the book of abstract of the conference. I request Mr. Padmanabhan and Mr. Biju Shivkumar to join the dignitaries. I request our chief guest, Mr. Abhishek Ranjan, to unveil book of abstract and present the first copy to the president.
Thank you, dignitaries. Now I request our chief guest, Shri Abhishek Ranjan sir, Senior Director and Global Head, Sustainability at Brilio, to address the gathering.
Yeah. A very good morning to all of you. Indeed, it's a beautiful day. Thank you, NSB, for inviting me. I think the word sustainability also belongs to my relationship with NSB, because, you get bored after 1 year inviting one speaker, but you invite another year, okay, one more time. But you can't invite the same speaker for 4 years in a row. But I think I'm sustaining so far with NSB. And Professor Rao, a very dear friend, I would say him, because a very thorough gentleman. I mean, really loved enjoying interactions with him. And I had opportunity to also meet our president, Dr. Sridhar Murthy ji. We were having good discussion before this meeting. And obviously how our director, sir, Dr. Srinidhi, spoke about, I think he set the stage in taking us to our, illustrious mythology, what happens in Vedas. I was trying to figure out those Sanskrit slokas he was, probably sharing with us. But yeah, taking the leaf from there, I would probably now fast forward to what happened during the Independence Day of our independence era, as well as when Tata set up their first factory, trying to set up the first factory in Jamshedpur. I happens to be a part of, from that part, so I know some stories about it. So I'll share that, and obviously I have a small presentation. Given the time frame I have, I'll talk about it. So everybody talks about sustainability, and we kind of incline more towards the environment, right? And I think that's a more understood phenomena of sustainability. But I think we have to also give the same importance to social and governance. Friends, not being critic, but many times we forget the inclusiveness. Many times we don't, it doesn't come under the way of our life. Sometimes the unconscious biasness, which you don't really know. But I think when I was reading this whole agenda, the first thing came to my mind, there's no women speaker. You have to be more inclusive, okay? And that's how this is a small suggestion. So this is where, we all have to understand that ESG sustainability is all about how you are inclusive in your thoughts, how you are sustaining in your thoughts. And when Mahatma Gandhi ji, he made a clarion call during the independence time, and he gave a very well thought of idea that we are all trustees of wealth. We are not owning the wealth, and that's how the trusteeship came in picture. When he called the business leaders, like people like Mr. Birla and others, and say that, hey, you are not owning this wealth, and you are appointed as a trustee. On this Mother Earth, who are we? Are we owners? No. We are surviving on loan. Do you think that we have inherited, this Mother Earth from our previous generation, or we are on loan from our future generation? What do you think is correct? Have we inherited this earth as a benefit to us from our previous generation, or we are on loan for our future generation? I think the loan has a more voice, right? So our fundamental belief should be that we are on loan. We are not owning, we have debt on us. And our job is to, how do you pay a loan? How do you pay a EMI? You pay with interest, right? So our job should be to pay whatever we have taken from this Mother Earth and from the previous generation, pay with interest. But what were we doing? We are not interested in paying in interest, but we are actually take this whole global warming, this whole issues of the carbon is growing. So that's where. So if we have really believed in what Mahatma Gandhi ji said, that trusteeship, and what also he said, there is for every human being, for need, everything is available, but it's not for the greed. I think if you look at 1800th century to now, in the last 200 years, when the whole industry evolution happened from industry 1.0 to now industry 5.0, you see a clear graph that how environment has suffered vis-a-vis the industrial growth. It's a clear correlation. There's no doubt in our mind. And all the graphs of the growth of industry and environment, situation depleting is very real. And all the data, all the records shows about it. So again, if we have really believed in it, it will happen. When first time Tata's started, they wanted to start their factory in Jamshedpur. That's Jamshedpur, I don't know what was the name of Jamshedpur, but the place. You won't believe when they had to acquire the land, and this is like I'm talking about in 1800th century, right? And they had to acquire the land, they have to set up the factory. They didn't even talk about that. They first said, what can we do for this village? How can we help the community? And that's where they build the trust. Tata is the only brand in the country which features as the world's top 100 brands in the world. Right from Tata Salt to Tata Airline now, everything we have a trust factor. And so many other brands, right, has happened. So this is the premise of our country. What Sir has told from our rich heritage, what companies who started here, what kind of culture they brought, and what Mahatma Gandhi ji said. Then after the independence, everything was kind of taken by the government. And so was the CSR, charity, philanthropy. And all the companies were asked to pull into the government projects. Then the year came 2014, which was a remarkable year, when Prime Minister of that time, Shri Manmohan Singh ji said that we will have a CSR law. And that's when the 2014, you see, after that, the last one decade, country has seen unprecedented collaboration, a movement by corporates, academia, and so forth, right? 2014, when the CSR law came to the country, what our Prime Minister of that time, Shri Manmohan Singh ji said, that CSR is not philanthropy. CSR is not charity. CSR is a collective investment of the future of this country. What a beautiful statement, right? So, olden days, what used to happen? You know, you all have heard of Robin Hoods, right? What is Robin Hood famous for? He will loot the rich people and give it to the poor people. But we all celebrate him as a Masiha, right? So it was in India, right? A lot of dacoits. All the dacoits used to be very, very religious. And especially they will go to the Durga temple. And they will, build and all, right? And, businessman community, you give money. So I think culturally also we have seen another culture where money equates your social performance or societal giving. So is happening in carbon now. So is happening in environment. So one of the very big company, I won't name it, it's not about shaming any company, they said they have bought 1/3 of the Amazon forest. We all know Amazon forest. Now, this company proudly said that we have bought 1/3 of the Amazon forest. We are doing the best in the world. But what best happened? The forest was existing. The ownership transferred, right? Nothing happens, so there's no change, right? So I think the whole conversation about your money equates to the societal good, environmental good, doesn't hold that good in today's world. Today's world is to change this whole scenario. So why I'm bringing this all, how the narratives are changing from our inception to, and that's where you see in the last 10 years in a country like India, we are one of the top talked about the ESG and CSR. And one of the conversation we had before this conference, and somebody in our panel asked our president that how do you see academia, aligning to ESG? So I happen to be a part of the AACSB and NHRD accreditation program as I spent some time with academia. And this was a research done basically to say that where the MBA 4.0 or MBA 5.0 should align to. And one of the top 4 things which after a lot of deliberations across the country which happened, the finding was every MBA should be digital marketing literate, irrespective of what you select as your, as your major. Second was analytics. Third was empathy. And fourth was sustainability, in no order, no preferential order. But these were the 4. And why even MBA colleges are, really adopting sustainability? Because that's what the business is asking for. That's what business leaders are asking for. Many times I will get a call at 12 o'clock in midnight or odd times from my leaders across the world. And they start asking about new terminologies, right? Carbon capture, now we're talking about scope 4, and so many new things keeps coming. I realized that this, my C-level executive, would be meeting some customer or somebody over a lunch or a dinner, and this is what will be the conversation. I think ESG, if you follow LinkedIn, top 15 jobs in the world, top 15 sectors of job, LinkedIn feature ESG sustainability in the top 15. If you look at Times of India reports, Economic Times report, there has been a 300% growth in ESG jobs. And that's I've seen personally because I've been in this sector. I've seen the whole growth the last 1 decade, how it is really shaped up. There are so many business schools, including IIMs, have started exclusive MBA program on sustainability. So that's how this is a real. So why I'm sharing all this data point, it's very real, and this is how the whole journey has transpired. Now, let's fast forward and think about what happened in the last 10 years in this country. And I was discussing with Professor Rao and Dr. Srinidhi that 2014 to 2020, pre-pandemic, it was all CSR. I have come to this college also and given lectures on CSR, not on sustainability. Something really magical happened in pandemic. Something good happened in pandemic. Of course, there was a lot of not good. Was the environment started healing on its own, right? Many news came that we spotted Himalaya from Jalandhar. Somebody said that we had never seen such a blue sky in Bangalore, right? I could spot a lot of places from my home in Bangalore, which you couldn't see otherwise. And everything started becoming so good. And that really proved, airline industry, only the airline industry contributes nearly 10% of the pollution in the world, roughly. And there was hardly airline running, hardly motor cars were running. So we saw how the environment changed, and that made the belief and the whole Trump analogy that this whole environmental and this whole climate change is all a hoax. It's a China and India story, right? And you remember when Trump came, so when Barack Obama was a president, the last order he did was cutting a $500 million check for the climate change. Because he knew that his predecessor who's coming doesn't believe in climate change. And then we saw that US pulling out from all the commitments they made for the climate change, the net zero targets. And then, when he came out then again. So I think there's a lot of political disruptions happen in this space. But countries like India, especially in the last 10 years, has done a couple of very phenomenal work. And I should be very proud, and we all should be proud of this. We are the lead country for the International Solar Alliance. Hope all of you know that. This is the only alliance in the world which is the presidentship is with India. Throughout. It's like a permanent position. And you know how the solar industry China was kind of very much focusing on. And we got a full support from European countries, and we become the International Solar Alliance lead country. And you can see the growth in solar. The second best thing, India has almost removed extreme poverty from the country. So very few people are now extreme poverty level. So the poverty levels have really kind of eliminated, right? All of you growing up, we heard of this statement, roti, kapda and makan, right? So the roti is kind of almost taken care of most of the citizens of this country. Rest, I think very soon shelter also will be kind of taken care, right? And the third beautiful thing happened is that India's green cover, India's forest cover has improved very, very significantly. And today, the rapid growth what we are seeing in the EV, right, especially the non-fossil fuel cars, is something which is whole world is going to watch for this country. So I think net we are in the very fast track. We are being talked on a very positive scale. Recently I was in a conference and in Bellary in JSW, and somebody asked me from the moderator that how Indians been seeing outside this country. I think I am from tech industry. 20 years back when I joined IBM in Bangalore, most of the customers I used to meet by all was Americans, Europeans. Now, this side also Indians, that side also Indian. Right? That's how the changes happen. So, it's a good or bad? There's a question mark, because I can't fool another Indian who understands how do we work, how do we build, how do we really make our projects work. So it's not, so it's also good for them. But what really change has happened, right? I think India's stake overall, in every aspect, whether it's a brain, what the brains we bring to the table, the acumen, the startup culture. I am so proud that now today, if you follow some of the management schools, they are talking about how many startups have started from this business school. Recently I was seeing IIM Bangalore's LinkedIn post few days back. And that's how the culture of this country is really changing. And Bangalore is the, it's a pride. It's a pride for all of us that, what happens in here is a game changing in the whole country. So this is how the world narratives are changing. And now, as I said, post-pandemic, when the whole world realized, at least in India, that this is a problem created by human, by the growth. There's always a debate between growth, development versus sustainability. Like, okay, people think sustainability derails, growth. I won't name this minister, but just flashback 10 years back, there was a union minister for environment, and he used to be very strict. 10, 15 years back, I would say. And that time, there was a lot of issues used to come from the industry that we are not getting environmental clearance. because of the development. So I think this is a very, very touchy subjects, that how do you balance between development and sustainability, right? So this equity has to be maintained. If you don't maintain the equity, then what will happen? The future generation, whom you have taken this whole your life as a loan, I think they will curse you, and you will all become NPAs, or your what do you call the ratings in the you have this bank rating, right? CIBIL score will be all in minus on environment. So you want a good CIBIL score with your grandkids or great grandkids. Make sure that you start really paying your loans on time, and better on that, right? Sir, how much time we have? I didn't use my presentation. If I want, I can skip it, depending upon how much time I have. 10 minutes? So why don't we do this thing? I mean, instead of making this boring presentation, obviously it's a lot of masala and a lot of good stuff, but given the time, I really enjoyed talking like this, but I can always do this presentation later. If any questions are there, I think, rather than I just giving a mono dialogues here, if any questions or anything you want to share, happy to kind of converse on that. And while you're thinking on your questions and what you talk, two things came in my mind, and I want to share that. This is a request. One, the government school you're supporting around this area, if there are more than 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 even, we would like to partner with you guys. So we recently did a national STEM program where just a few weeks back, where children from all over government school, only government school we work with, they all over India, they came for a national STEM program contest in Bangalore. And I was so happy that both our Deputy Chief Minister and the Education Minister both joined and graced, and so many scientists, eminent personalities across India came. It was our flagship project, what we do for government school. So we're very happy to collaborate on creating science lab, creating digital labs. We have astronomy labs, and also I'll in touch with Mr. Rao, Professor Rao, and we'll see how do we collaborate and make it very real. The second thing is that many times such conferences happen. I speak, we all talk very nice words, but I want to make it something more meaningful to this conference. If it permissible, I like to take 2 of the best students, researcher, ideas from this conference to work along with me in some of the initiatives. So initially it will be an internship model, right? And if things work, we'll make it work. So that will be my request to the professors here. Yeah, any questions, anything you want to know, anything you want to discuss? Otherwise, I'll just go to my boring presentation. I also got to know that many of you have come from different colleges, different universities across India. Yeah, sir.
It's very good morning. It's really a pleasure to have a practitioner like you speaking on sustainability, and it makes a lot of sense. Being in business schools, the professors like that, we really understand the corporate scenario where the shareholders tend to think business of business is business. You just make money. But now as CEOs of the organizations, I think we will have the responsibility of catering to shareholders' requirement. But at the same time, heart in heart, all of us are human beings, and then we also need to have focus on sustainability. So now how do we match these contrasting demands of the industry?
Thank you, sir. So when Mr. Friedman, the sir what has sought is one of a business, I would say advisory and very famous philosopher. And Friedman said that the business of business is business. And that's how everything started. But now, can you sustain a business in a crumbling society or crumbling environment? So it's no longer you are doing favor to the environment. You're no longer doing good for society because it is something, you should just do it. The problem is, most of the world is becoming, sir, unlivable. Look at the country like India. Delhi, nobody, I have studied near to Delhi. You go after October, it's very difficult. If people who are from Delhi, go to Chennai, there's a flood issues. Bangalore, we had a severe water issue. Traffic is, of course, again, man-made problem. Many cities will be non-existent or they'll be out of water. Now, in this scenario, and when the haves and have-nots, if the gap widens, then what will happen? The have-nots will not let you have the best of your life. So I think, sir, very famously in corporate language, I think there's one slide also. So when we talk about training for employees, so we say, oh, we train, we invest so much money. Some of them also we sponsor for higher programs in the management colleges. And they leave the company. Like attrition is a very common problem in corporates. Roughly 15-20% people every year in the average leaves the company. So the question is that shall we invest in the employees training or not? Because they leave so fast. And nowadays the stickiness of employees are very less. Very few years they stick to the company. So there always be debate that if we do not invest in the employees to grow, and if the 20% leaves, it's fine, but what about the rest of the 80% who remains in this company? Shall we not invest in them? Because we can't predict who will leave, who will not be in the company. So today's world, even when somebody becomes your shareholder, for example, we are, that two of the largest private equity company like Bain Capital and Orion Investments are one of our, they are the major shareholder. Even if somebody becoming a shareholder in your company, before that they will check your ESG. That whether you are really sustainable. What ESG really does for the investor? It checks your risk, your compliance. It also makes that, this company is good. Because ESG, when you see, ESG has how you run the board, how you appointed the board, what committees you have, what kind of compliance, what kind of certifications you have. Then you come in social, how much you invested in training of employees, what's your salary parity is there, how much is your CSR, then how much is inclusion, how much what you did for communities like people with disability. So whole range of topics. And then we comes into environment. So when investors are also looking at today, before even they invest in your company, that what is your ESG score? Simple things are you invest in stocks. Many people say stock. Go to Google and search any stock. You'll find something called CDP rating. I don't know if you have seen it. Please do it today. Google, you go, any stock you search, and you see below that CDP rating. What is CDP? Climate Disclosure Project. So what is the ranking of that company in climate will come in that. So this is a decision point for many investors now. That's why Google is sharing apart from the PE ratio and so many other ratios, right? So it's all very real. But I'm just giving some example. Secondly, your employees. See, today's workforce also look at how the company is doing good for society, good for themselves. And ESG is not just about outside world. How much we invest in training, how much we invest in L&D, making sure we talk about diversity, inclusion, all of these topics, right? Similarly, if we look at the end consumers of today's world, we are very, very, we don't want to buy products which are not good, like brands like, especially the EV vehicles, right? Or cosmetic brand. One of the famous brand is Mothercare, not Mothercare. Not Mama, there's another one. It is on my slide. Can I see this? How can I see? Oh, here, okay. You name any other premium brand? Any other cosmetic brand? Somebody? Body care? Body shop. Body shop, yes. Body shop. So Body Shop is a brand, this is a very interesting case. Body Shop, when they never did animal testing on any products. And they sold it to a different company now. And one of the contractual obligation for this was that even they sold this company, they said you can never do animal testing. Right? So there are so much of products. If you see around Bangalore, so no, we all are going back to our traditional things, right? I go and get this cold pressed oil now. I think many of us started using sesame oil or this. At home also you see how your kitchen things are changing, right? So I think the consumer is changing, and that's how the world is changing. So definitely it is about how companies manage their stakeholders, not just the shareholder. That's how the world is. Because one last quote I would say here, that, and it's a very strong statement, if you do not know how to manage your stakeholder, then stakeholder knows how to manage you. Right? And everybody is a stakeholder. Any one more question, please?
Hi, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so I have a question. There is a constant rise in defense expenditure. And how is this in line with sustainable practices?
Yeah, I think what's your name?
Risha.
Risha. Thank you. I think it's a very, very pertinent question, and hope what we can discuss in a public forum like this. But I can tell you for sure, most of the sustainable goals, one of this is also talks about peace and conflict resolution of the UN SDG goals. You are very right that many times these wars are thrown for whole arm race, right? Because people not buy weapons, people not buy lot of things which is used in the war until unless there is a war or war-like situation. So it is sometimes becomes a question of how ethical you are in the form. But I don't even know whether we can measure what devastation happening in countries like Ukraine and others, right? We have an office in Romania, and you all know Romania geographically is next to Ukraine, right? And when I was talking to my friends and my colleagues in Ukraine, the country head, in Romania, sorry, and Ukraine is a very, very talented market. A lot of very good product companies have come from Ukraine. It's like, it's like Israel. Very smart people, very hardworking, very talented people. So many of the people migrated to Romania because they have an easy border policy. And then, we worked with the local charities there to support some of these camps from our CSR. So one of the things is we realized that, these kind of wars and these kind of conflict, whether it's an ongoing conflict, what we see in Kashmir, in India, or what we're seeing in Israel, right, with Palestine, I think this is a big concern. But the problem is who's going to solve it. That's where I and you, all of us are stuck. But I hope that as a more and more we say that the world is going toward peace, you see a new war starts. And that's really disheartening. But as you say that all problems you cannot probably solve at all the time, I always believe that change the world you want to change. The world we can't change, world we can't do any much, forget about it for time being. But change the world you can change. If you want to change a world for one child, one government school, change it. It's okay. We can't change all the Bangalore problem of all the schools or all the government school in Karnataka, fine. But I will do my bit. I think that's how the spirit should be, and a positive spirit should be. But thanks for bringing this attention, because this is a very, very, very interesting question and very pertaining topic which is going across the world. Sir, you had something? Sir, we have time, sir. Oh, sir, you are the boss.
So just taking a cue from what you just said about sustainable practices and growth, and with India looking at being among the top economy, and closely monitoring the GDP also. And if you have to consider sustainable practices and growth as two sides of a coin, how do we ensure the coin is balanced and we still meet our objectives?
So I briefly touch about this whole investment scenario, right? And as how the private investor, public investor, everybody, right? I do a bit of investment on my own. If I look at, and you don't do investment for, as you very rightly said, sir, that you do your personal investment for better returns. But the good part is that today's the better returns are coming from all those companies. Look at the shares of Sujlon. Look at the share of some of this renewables company. They are so fast growing, it is real. So somebody very rightly said, sir, that when you try to solve a social problem business way, then you can solve faster and more profitable for both, right? Moment you think the social problem is a social problem and it has to be philanthropic, as it like I am doing a favor. Think about Google Maps. Simple problem. Is it not a Google Maps is solving a lot of problem for us? Societal problem, decongestion, all of this. It is in a way solving environmental problem. But Google never thought that they are working for environmental cause. They are solving a business problem. For their business, so I think today's world, you will see social problem, environmental problem will be solved by, and that's why you see a lot of business graduates coming. I always, in my whole team, I have all the people who have some business understanding. Because what happened when you don't have business understanding, you cannot run ESG separately than business. ESG, I say one eye, 1 ear, right? God has given us most of our organs are, two. So 1 ear, 1 eye, 1 hand dedicate to company, rest you dedicate to the society and environment. Then only the balance will happen. Otherwise, it will never happen. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for your patience listening, and we will meet again. Thank you.
I request all of you to have your questions during interaction during the tea time, because we have to conclude this, because tracks are there, international tracks are there in the afternoon. That is the reason. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. It has been really enlightening, and we get to know so many interesting points regarding sustainability. I request President NSB to present the memento to our chief guest. Thank you, sir.